We'll call the Thursday, April 11th City Commission meeting to order. First item on the agenda would be the March 28th, 2024 minutes. Any changes?
I have none.
Citizen comment? Next item on the agenda would be the consent agenda. A would be utilities easements on Brown property on Midwest Energy gas pipelines, and we have numerous just recommendations.
Move approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Cunningham. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait.
Sorry.
Hold on. Back up.
Because I'm related to somebody in one of those recommendations, I'll be abstaining.
Okay, let's do this again. Sorry about
Sorry.
that. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Wait, I need to reconsider if he's related to one.
Passes 4-0. Thank you, Mason.
Thanks, sorry.
No, that's all right. Sorry, I went too fast. Next item on the agenda, Larks Park turf funding request. Doctor.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jeff Boyle, Director of Parks. And I am here to talk about the Lark Park turf replacement. As mentioned last week, we are talking about the infield area, which is the area here in the picture closest to the bleachers. Little background information: City of Hayes owns Lark Park. Fort Hays State manages the facility for us. The existing turf was installed in 2012. The life expectancy of that turf is 8 to 10 years, so you know we're on starting season number 12 right now. So it shows two things. Number one, we got a lot because of our maintenance. We got a lot of years out of it. And number two, the turf that we had down there was really good to begin with. So we've been pretty fortunate. Again, I mentioned last week, I tried to find a way to show you guys a good example of how the turf is worn down. It's just so hard to do in a picture. The picture on the left here is the worn down turf that's currently down there. That was taken just a couple of weeks ago. On the right is a brand new sample that I had in my office of the same turf. So you can see how the new stuff stands up. It's not broken off and flimsy anymore like the picture on the right. This is a patch that had to be put in at second base. So as you can see, I mean, the facility has been repaired, but it's definitely not up to speed anymore where it should be. These are several patches at first base area that have been put in over the years. You know, patches aren't unusual on the pitching mound, home plate area, left and right bat, catcher area. Those are very common to replace those. And part of this bid that we received does include repair panels for replacement. So in those areas, not at first and second, but in those areas. These are the two valid bids that came in. Mid-America Sports we are familiar with. They did the Bickel-Schmidt Sports Complex, and they also did the turf that's currently at Larks Park. So we're very familiar with this company. They do good work. As I mentioned, also Hellas is a great company as well. Either one of those is a win-win, and we are recommending the lower bid, $296,773. So that $296,773 includes alternate 1 and alternate 2. Alternate 1 was for a groomer. This would be used weekly to go around and groom the fields. It basically kind of sort of fluffs up the turf and picks the rubber up, sets it back down, and just it keeps the facility, keeps the rubber and the turf in better shape. And we currently don't have one down there, so we'd have to bring it from field to field, and we'd like to have that down there. And alternate 2 is we were actually considering just letting them leave the turf on site, and then we'd try to get rid of it. We were a little concerned that we were going to have some tough times getting rid of it, so we could end up with a hefty bill having to haul it off eventually. So we decided that we'd like to just go ahead and have it alternate 2 accepted, which is they haul the turf, the old turf off. We have enough stuff at Larks Park. We don't need to clutter up the sidelines any more than they already are. So Fort Hays State is requesting that the city pay for half the cost. The other half is being paid for by Fort Hays State and the Hays Larks. City's portion would be $148,386.50. In the 2024 special park and recreation budget, we did set aside $150,000 to cover the cost, so we're right at our budget, but below the budget. These are the options if you choose to proceed. Approve the funding, direct staff otherwise, or do nothing. And this is the action requested.
Go ahead.
I move we approve the 50% matching funds request from Fort Hays State University to replace the turf at Larks Park for amount of $148,386.50 from the 2024 special park and recreation budget.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barry, second by Commissioner Reuter. Jeff, couple questions on the is it 44 panels. Is that normal, what we do on that?
44?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about 9 years worth of replacement panels for the
Okay.
pitching mound, left and right batter at home base,
Right.
the catcher.
Where do you
area.
store, I mean, that's pretty, where do you store that? It's pretty sizable.
We have a area down there under Larks Park.
There's
It's
room
be
for-
the far west.
Oh, okay. I just,
Still the far west building down there. That's where we'd store them at.
I
That's
just-
where we stored the last set.
okay. On the groomer, do we have that out at the ball fields? A
We do
groomer?
have one out there,
We do?
yes.
I guess, I don't remember you ever talking about that.
Yeah, that was also part of that bid at the
Okay.
complex, so, yeah.
So
If we keep, better pitchers than batters, and that extends the life of the turf, so we make that
Well,
part
I
of
don't
the
know if they're
recruiting
better,
process?
they might be digging in a little more.
I was just thinking the outfield, second base, nobody's running the baseline.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Just keep Sean from sliding on it.
Huh?
Just keep you from sliding.
No, I don't slide anymore. I learned.
Okay, good.
Well, like I said last week, I think it's a great partnership we have, and this is a very important part of our community down there, so I think it's well worth it.
Agreed.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And Curtis, you can go.
Yeah, thank you guys for being
you.
here.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda would be airport hangar construction awarded bid.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jamie Salter, Director of Hays Regional Airport. The Kansas Highway Patrol has had an aviation unit based at Hays since the 1980s, and they've recently acquired new aircraft to be housed at Hays. They have on the left there is what they have been flying. They are going to keep that, and then they're adding on the right-hand side there the Cessna Caravan. The aircraft on the left, like I said, is similar to what they've been operating. That's not the exact model. We can't give that out. But the one on the right has already been acquired. It's actually offsite right now. It takes considerable effort to upfit that for law enforcement standards. So it has since come and gone. So we are waiting for that to come back. Right now they do have a hangar that can store it, what they're currently in. They can't store the other one though, and it was inches on each side, less than 5 inches on each side. So when they're responding, obviously emergency response, they're going to be responding in darkness and can be inclement weather. So obviously having a little more clearance is definitely their preference. Last week, Commissioner Reuter asked what the aircraft are actually used for. One was up today, coordinating the water drops. Because the U.S. Forestry Services was there based at Hays to drop water for the fire that is east.
I was going to ask you too, with the replacement to the, or not replacement, addition of the other plane, when the current one they have needs to be replaced, do they just stick with that same kind of Cessna Caravan size then?
They could. It would really be, I don't see a need for them having anything bigger than that.
Okay.
It's not meant for passenger service, so
Gotcha.
what they are, that would be about as big as I think they would go. Like I mentioned last week, Governor has a jet. This can store the jet if they would happen to come here. But I don't see a need based on what they actually use it for to have anything bigger than that. And even if so, it would still be able to house, at least. So, like I said, they're up right now. They actually are the only law enforcement air asset that the state of Kansas has, and there's only 3 bases in Kansas. They'd be at Hays, Wichita, and Topeka. And the aircraft both will be and are equipped with thermal cameras and mapping systems to perform search and rescue for missing kids, silver alerts, missing Alzheimer's patients. When it's extremely cold, they did go up after. They can't fly in the blizzard. They can't fly in heavy snow, but they do go up afterwards looking for stranded motorists. If there's closed roadways, they will go. They will coordinate with ground units how to best get to the vehicle and/or people who are there. Let's see here. They also do fire or storm, and they may have to do that today, but fire or storm damage assessments. They'll go up and they will determine, or at least gather intel as far as if they meet the criteria for federal or state assistance. And then they also transport blood. So local hospitals, smaller hospitals, if they've got any type of car crashes, gunshot, labor and delivery issues, a lot of times those patients can't be moved or transported to a larger facility until they're stabilized. So many times they do run out of blood, and KHP will actually deliver it to them from blood banks, typically out of Wichita. And then obviously, like I said, last week, in addition to what you typically think of law enforcement activities would be manhunts, anti-drug enforcement, surveillance, gathering intel. KHP also benefits from being at Hayes. I didn't touch on this heavily last week, but I think it's important to acknowledge that Hayes must adhere to the most restrictive safety standards, and obviously, like I've said, they're flying in inclement weather and darkness, so paint markings matter, airfield lighting matters, having nearly 24/7 access matters, so not all airports clear like we do in the snow and ice, so that's important to them too, as far as aircraft operational safety. Because KHP wants to continue keeping a base at Hayes for their aircraft, they initiated conversations with airport staff to discuss the need for additional space. And it was determined a new building would be the best path forward. We don't have anything right now that's big enough. We're at 100% capacity, so we don't have anything that's big enough or available for them to house anything new. They also have specific operational needs. They need to be on the apron. They need to have emergency access. They don't want to be close to commercial service. So all of those things, this is at the very south end of the apron there. So north is up, I assume you know, but terminal's clear on the way up there. Blue box is what we're proposing. You can see that there's a hangar underneath there. That is a deteriorating hangar. It has been for years. What it takes to actually get it up to snuff, because we do rent those out, it's cost prohibitive. It's not worth it. It's not very tall. You can't store very large aircraft, and that's where rental rates can be increased considerably based on the size of aircraft. And then on the right-hand side there, that's actually, it was hard to find a specific image that mirrored what we're looking at, but it will be the two hangar doors. I thought that's why this one drew my attention. It's two hangar doors. East and west access is what they'll have, and because they're storing those two aircraft, they'll actually back them in and store them tail to tail. So smaller one will go on the backhand side and can taxi through those taxi lanes, and the larger one would be access immediately from the apron. Bids for the construction of the hangar building were open on March 5th, and bid documents were presented as one base bid with several alternates, as you can see. And this would allow us flexibility on the final building features and then project construction costs, obviously some balance there. One bid was received from commercial builders with a total of just over 1.3 million for everything. Base bid plus alternates 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 12, and 13 were ultimately selected for award with a total value of just under 1.2 million. I'd like to point out, Toby said I didn't have to mention this, but your packets didn't have number 4 listed. Dollar amounts, what you've seen, have all been the same, but number 4 I had accidentally left off. There were so many of them, I wasn't able to carry them forward. So numbers that you've seen, that 1,196,500 is what the recommended award of bid is. And Commercial Builders has completed similar projects to include the Grow Hayes Microfactory, obviously just recently, out by the airport. Nex-Tech Wireless Corporate Building that's located west of the airport, and the Welcome Center. They actually did for the city in 2006. Estimated total project costs, like you said, is just over 1.3 million. This includes everything. The top part is what we're recommending for award of bid. There are some areas that we've pulled out. We weren't sure. These are kind of in conjunction with another project we have going out there. Utility lines aren't in yet, so we couldn't include that in the RFP documents for the bid for this actual hangar construction. So some of those were pulled out. Some of those will be done coordinating through the city, Midwest Energy, moving lines, those types of things. And then, like I said, commercial builders is more so responsible for the actual hangar construction, erecting it. KHP will reimburse for all of the costs. This is an estimation of just over 1.3. KHP will reimburse all of the construction costs to the city, and then in addition, make payment in the amount of $350,155 to the city for project services rendered during the project. The reason why they are doing this is because upon completion of the project and then payment of any outstanding balances, the city will actually transfer ownership from city to the Kansas Highway Patrol. And then after that, we would start a land lease just like we have with anybody else who privately owns hangar space on our land.
So I think that's important what you just said, though. We're spending the money to build it, but then they're gonna basically reimburse us for the total cost.
Yes, for the total cost, and again, plus the $350,000 they're paying essentially for
And it's a great asset for not only our community, but for our region.
absolutely.
From a fiscal note, I'm looking at when you do the new lease. Have you determined what the fiscal note is in terms of, I'm sure you have, but I'm going to put it on the record, of what it's going to cost to keep everything up? And that'll be part of your lease agreement, I assume.
They're actually taking over everything. So they would take over as far as taking care of any of the hangar areas, interior, we wouldn't be responsible for.
Right, but exterior, there's any maintenance that, in addition to what they've had?
Typically, it is just the apron and taxi lanes that
Okay.
we're responsible
Thank
for.
you.
And those are included in our capital improvement
Right.
projects.
Thanks.
Here's the schedule for the hangar build. As I noted earlier, this does require the removal of hangar A10 that's currently sitting on that lot. And then we expect construction. KHP was really pushing for project completion by the end of this year. They should have that aircraft back. Really want to get it inside or have everything figured out before winter rolls around. Commission has these options. And this is the action requested. I will stand for any questions.
I move approval to accept the base bid plus alternates as presented from Commercial Builders Incorporated in the amount of $1,196,400 and authorize a total project expenditure value up to $1,337,700 to be funded from the Airport Improvement Fund to construct a hangar building at the Hayes Regional Airport.
The total amount was incorrect. 1,196,500.
What did I say? I said
400.
20 to 44, not 45. It's a whole nother story. Excuse me. Correct my motion, $1,196,500. Thank you.
How
Second.
can you not get that?
You look away.
We're keeping that $100.
I've seen his face, and I'm like, something's wrong. Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Any other comments?
One, I just want to thank you for the fact that you put your map up appropriately with north to the top. Sometimes Jared and Colin will
They have a
try to
problem.
throw things up sideways.
I didn't
So
put north because I assumed.
Yeah, exactly.
We all assume.
We all assume that.
Except Jarrett and Colin.
And just to clarify, the cost
You
for
don't take that.
the cost for the demolition of the hangar that's there and hauling that off.
There's nothing for us. It's
There's nothing-
essentially the
right.
state of the hangar. It is.
So it includes the demolition and the construction.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
And then, as far as the foundation and the footings, that'll just be removed by city staff, breaking that out and probably crushing it and using it somewhere else as crushed concrete.
Great, thank you.
I'll just say that, once again, it's a great partnership, just like the previous one with the KHP. I think that's a great partnership that will benefit our community and our region for many years to come.
This has been a discussion for 5 years since I've been there.
We should be very proud that they chose being out here.
Yeah, we should.
It's really
Absolutely.
important.
No, great job on that. So,
Thank you.
all right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0 this time. Right? Did you vote on that one?
Yes, I did. I did this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Commission inquiring comments. Mr. Barrick.
Tonight starts the beginning of the Kansas Audubon Lek-Trex. They will be going out looking at prairie chicken leks for the next 3 days.
Prairie chicken what?
Leks. It's
Lex.
where the males go out and boom around and all the
Ah.
females are dancing around.
Photos.
It's
Cool.
early in the morning, but there's over 100 people, I think 110 people from all over the country that arrived in Hayes for this event, 3-day event. So,
Wow, that's fantastic.
and they're having dinners every night at the museum with different local restaurants providing meals. So, it's a very cool big event.
Very good.
There's a lot of people
Welcome
this
to
time.
them.
And I heard today there's 2 people from Norway that are coming in for this event.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Gosh, I feel like I have a lot on my mind, but putting it into words, I really don't have much. I guess I will thank Governor Kelly for making a visit to town today. It was interesting to hear her thoughts on Medicaid expansion, and just glad she sees value in our community and making a presence.
Yeah, I'll kind of expand on that too. It was nice to have her here and have hospital staff and administration show her around what Hayes Med does and the impact it has on not only Hayes or Ellis County, but the entire region and even states beyond of people that come in and need our local health care. It's an important piece of our identity here. It's huge. So it's good that she's out here seeing it in person and getting that feedback. Other than that, don't have a whole lot.
I was happy to be able to be involved in that tour. I've seen that hospital since it was built and watched it expand, and you think you know what's there until you get an opportunity to have a walking tour that Eddie Herman provided. It was exciting, and as they said, the economic impact of that hospital in this community is unbelievable. I wanted to just bring up one thing, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm just kind of thinking out loud right now. Wild West Fest has approached the city manager or had a conversation with the city manager related to their financial situation that they have and that they're likely discontinuing or maybe have made the decision. They're considering eliminating the fireworks display every year. It's not really part of their Wild West Fest. It's an extension of. I just was going to reach out to the community. Maybe they need a partnership. Maybe there's another group out there that would be really interested in helping them continue this process. And if so, if we call the city manager's office, he can put him in, or even Melissa at CBB can put him in contact with the right people to have a conversation with. We have great nonprofits in this community that are very connected with quality of life issues. This is a quality of life issue in my mind. So if you're out there and you have an interest, let's put you together and have a collaborative thing that maybe won't cost anybody too much.
Well, I will add to that. It'd be nice to see if the community actually wants
Wants
to
it.
spend the money
Mhm.
on the fireworks, because there's been people talking both ways on that. So
Right.
that's good. I'm glad you guys were able to go to the hospital today. My boss wouldn't let me off work today, so I couldn't go. but-
I've heard that about him.
Yeah, she's tough. No. A couple things, and I talked to you guys earlier, maybe Mason, I think you're, TMP are closer to Heavenly Powers. If we could have an eclipse like once a month. There's been a lot of travelers throughout the region that have stopped in Hayes and stay overnight and eat. So it's been an economic boom. So if you could continue that,
I'll do what I can.
more often, not just how many years is it? How many years was it?
It'll be 20 more.
Yeah, so a little bit more often would be better if you could. So, no, just joking.
If he's that close, he should also ask for rain.
Yeah, that'd be actually even be better. So,
The list is getting long.
I wanted to ask the city manager if we could talk a little bit more on UTVs, the ordinance that we have we kind of added to the ordinance once we allowed them on the streets, And it doesn't mirror the state's policy, and I'd like to see us, maybe we go close to the state and eliminate some of the stuff that, you know, like to remove the license inspections and registration. You talk to the police officer, it's a lot of added time to them that not a lot of value from what I understand. And
No, and we really don't see the value in it. The license and registration was put in place by the commission back at the time. License, registration, and inspection, because of the uncertainty of UTVs and the unfamiliarity with them on the streets, but in practical application, it really hasn't been an issue having UTVs in the streets.
Right.
And it's probably not the most productive use of our officers' time and our PD staff's time to inspect and permit via tag and then keep track of the registration and have to renew all that each year. So I've visited with Don Scheibler about this, and you know, we would have no problem if you wanted to mirror the golf cart regulations, where there are specific safety requirements with UTVs, such as seat belts and, you know, things like that. So we wouldn't advise taking that out of the ordinance. But as far as the active registration and tagging, we don't think that's necessary.
if we could look at it, I mean,
I think it's really practical, and I've had citizens reach out asking for that.
I actually,
I would like to see the staff bring us a recommendation.
I actually reached out to one of the people in town that sell them, and he actually, and I don't have no reason to believe this is wrong or true or false, is he believes actually they would sell more if it wasn't so restrictive. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you
Sales
would.
tax.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we want. So it's, which a lot of people that buy them don't pay sales tax, but I don't know. We haven't had any problems. I think what is an average 30 a year, I think is what the numbers Colin you sent me, it was something like that. It's not a lot. I mean, I know in the summertime I see some downtown, but I haven't seen
Very
an issue.
seldom.
But, you know, if we could at least look at it.
Yeah, we'd be happy to bring you a recommendation.
No hurry, just whenever. So.
Okay.
Other than that, we're adjourned.